Okay. If one was eating a cluster of grapes and he entered from the garden into the courtyard, Rabbi Eliezer says he may finish it, but Rabbi Yeshua says he may not finish it. If it became dark on the eve of the Sabbath, Rabbi Eliezer says he may finish it, but Rabbi Yeshua says he may not finish it. If truma wine was found uncovered, it must be poured away, and needless to say, if it is kulin. 3 liquids are forbidden if they remain uncovered: water, wine, and milk, but all other liquids are permitted. How long must they have remained so to become forbidden? The time it takes for a reptile to come from a nearby place and drink. The quantity of uncovered water sufficient for the venom to be offset, and Rabbi Yoshi says in vessels any quantity, and on the ground 40 si'ahs.
Okay. So now we've been talking about water that was left uncovered. Now we're also going to talk about fruit that appears to have been nibbled. A list of fruits over here. For the record, we'll translate figs, grapes, gourds. Kishum, sorry, kishum is melons, right? And Deloin is gourds, avatir, watermelons, malafafon, cucumbers. Okay.
They call them musk melons. Okay.
Melons, whatever. Okay. It doesn't matter if they appear to have been punctured or eaten. Afiluhem kikar, even if they're enormous in size. Echad gadol, echad katan, whether the hole is big or small. Echad talush, echad mechubar, whether they're connected to the ground or not. If it's moist, then it is prohibited to eat this because maybe a poisonous animal bit into it and left some nasty stuff behind. And similarly, if an animal was bitten by a snake, if you saw, let's say you saw a cow being bitten by a snake, and even if it didn't render it into a treifa, it's asur to eat that animal's meat, because if there's possibly a little bit more of a reasonable thing, because if the snake bit a cow, chances are that it injected its venom, and therefore therefore it would be dangerous to eat the meat because it would have venom in it somewhere. Incidentally, venom is only dangerous if it gets into your blood system. There was I think I might have mentioned this before, that there's a guy who used to travel around in Africa impressing all the natives by grabbing a poisonous snake and expressing its venom by squeezing it in a certain place. And so he'd catch its venom in his hand, and he would drink the venom.
And everybody went wild, right?
And everyone went wild. They thought he was this absolutely fabulous supernatural thing, and he was, as long as he didn't have an ulcer in his stomach, he was good.
Okay, I'm just going to run and open the door. I don't know who's here. Sure. Come on, I go.
Okay. So if you have a strainer on the top of a barrel of wine, let's say, so it's a very loose fitting cover. I mean, it's got holes in it.
Right.
Okay. So asura mishum giloy, it doesn't protect it from giloy, says the Tanna Kama. That if it's left open, then we're still going to prohibit it. Rabbi Nechemia Matir, he says that this makes it a lot less likely that any poisonous things are going to get into it. So therefore he's matir it, but the halacha doesn't follow him. And Mishna Ches, chavis shel truma shenolad bas fake tuma. So if you have a barrel of truma, and now you have a suffix tuma that's come onto it. So let's say, for example, there were 2 barrels of truma, and a tuma fell onto one of them. Like let's say a zav touched one of them, but he doesn't remember which one. Okay.
Right.
So now you got 2 barrels, each of them which are suffix tame. So you're not allowed to eat them. You're not, but at the same time, you also can't destroy them via dime because it might not be the tame one.
Right.
Okay. And nonetheless it's a tuma d'oraisa. So you can't. You see. So this trick that we learned in the previous Mishnah about tolin won't work over here. We said with tolin, you could say if you had one, let's say one was chulin and one was truma, and you had let's say a tuma d'rabanan came, a suffix tuma durabanan came about. So now you've got a durabanan, and there's a happy story that you can tell where you can say, oh, maybe we'll say that the chulin one became tame. You can do tolin when you've got a durabanan and where there's a happy story to tell. Here, there's no happy story to tell. One of these barrels definitely became tame, and it's a tuma duraisa. Okay, so Rabbi Eliezer Omer im haisa munachas b'makom turpa. If it was in an exposed place, says Rabbi Eliezer, where it could be made tame, you still have to protect it. You have to make, because maybe this is the tahor truma, and you have to make sure that it doesn't that no further truma can happen to it. And if it was uncovered, you must cover it. So you got to do whatever you can to protect it from any further truma, even though nobody's going to be allowed to eat it. Rabbi Yeshua says exactly the opposite. If it was in a concealed place, then put it in an open place. And if it was covered, then you can uncover it so that it's more likely to become tame, and then you can have a tuma. Then you can have a tumas vadai. So you're not doing the tuma biyadayim, but you're allowing it to happen more easily, so that you don't have to hang on to this big barrel of truma until it rots.
Okay,
because you can't eat it anyway, so why do you want to impose on somebody that he's got to look after it? Let it become vadai tame not through your own hands, and then you can get rid of it. Rabban Gamliel Omer al yichadesh b'adavai says, don't touch it, don't make it, don't protect. You don't have to protect it, and you can't make it more exposed. So there, the halacha follows Rabban Gamliel over here.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. We've got time for some chazaras. Let's see what we can do.
It's hey Dalit.
Hey Dalit.
If a saw of unclean truma fell into 100, or saw of clean truma, but Beit Shammai forbids, but Beis Hillel permits. Said Beis Hillel to Beit Shammai, since the clean is forbidden to non-priest and the unclean is forbidden to priest, then just as the clean is canceled, so too should the unclean be canceled. Beit Shammai said to them, no, if chulin, which is treated leniently and are permitted to non-priest, annuls the clean, should truma, which is treated stringently and is forbidden to non-priest, annul the unclean? After they admitted, Rabbi Eliezer says, truma must be taken and burnt. But the Kachamim say is lost because of its small quantity. If a saw of truma fell into 100 and he lifted it out and it fell into another place, Rabbi Eliezer says it renders meduma as does definite truma. But the Kachamim say it renders meduma only proportionately. If a saw of truma fell into less than 100, rendering it meduma, and some of the meduma fell into another place, Rabbi Eliezer says it renders meduma as does definite truma, that truma. But the sages say the meduma renders meduma only proportionately, and the leaven renders leaven only proportionally, and drawn water renders the mikvah unfit only proportionally.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to stop there and go and take some family responsibilities. Okay. Have a lovely day.
All right. Everything should be well.
Okay. Thank you. Amen. Bye.